for the longest time. Then the analytics and instrumentation for that website comes for free that you can analyze in Adobe Analytics. So it's sort of a similar scenario as Google Analytics, but for website design. In terms of price to value, I would say probably a 2. Well, price to value, so in terms of pricing flexibility, they're a 1. But in terms of price to value, they're probably a 3. Yeah, I would say they're a 3 in terms of like the feedback I get from people inside the company. Data storage, migration, 5, modeling, 4, they're pretty good at that. Probably even 4.5. And then, what was the last one? Speed. Yeah, speed are pretty good. I would say they're probably 4. Maybe even 5. Let's say 5.
5, great. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. So almost done here. So the last thing I want to ask you about each of these vendors, is frankly a basic NPS question. So on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is the highest, how likely are you to recommend each of these vendors to a peer and why?
If you take out the money question, this is a much easier answer. Like if
it helps, we can assume they're not a startup, so not a startup colleague, someone in a bit larger size business or an enterprise.
Actually,
that helps.
I've seen almost like a visceral reaction to the money question in large companies because of their volume. Like startups, yes, they're cash strapped, but big companies in per usage model, they're going to end up paying millions of dollars for just one tool. So yeah, that's not like a straightaway given that because it's a big company, bigger company. So let's say, if pricing is not a concern, if I were to recommend based on all other factors, I would probably, 10 would be, Amplitude would be a 10. Mixpanel would probably be a 1 because Amplitude is there. Otherwise, if Amplitude was not in there, Mixpanel would probably be a 6. Heap, I would for small companies or companies that are not foreseeing much data crunching on the horizon. Like for example, a shoe manufacturer. A friend of mine is a shoe manufacturer that's trying to sell online. They're probably, for them, I would say it's 8 for Heap, maybe even a 9. Google Analytics for their specific use case, which is SEO and search and spend, is a 10. For everything else, it's a 0. Adobe Analytics, regardless of scenario, I would give them a blanket 3.
3?
3, yes.
Got it. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for going through that exercise. I know it's a little bit tedious. But shifting gears a bit, I want to talk to you about something you mentioned in your screening questions around the stickiness of these solutions and the associated switching costs. So, I understand you said there's been a big change in the market, even the last 4 years in terms of how sticky these vendors are. I know you mentioned, CDPs like Segment and mParticle as being part of that. And just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about what's gone on and why this has changed and how you see it potentially shaping out in the future as well.
This is more of from the perspective of where the market's headed, right?
Yeah, and also just trying to understand from a company perspective, let's say you have a mixed panel and you want to go to Amplitude, just sort of what are the pains associated with doing that in terms of switching out a vendor, et cetera?
I see. So actually, let's try to divide this into 3 categories. One is the tangibles, the other is the intangibles, and the last one is the imperatives. The tangible is anything you can actually quantify. For example, how many engineers do I need to allocate to this migration project? Engineers already are at a premium to develop product, let alone have these maintenance type projects for the infrastructure of the company. The data has to be